We're welcoming Kelley from Granny Squibbs along with Jamie Schapiro of Aperture. And they are going to talk about growing your business through experiential marketing.
You hear me?
Yeah. And I heard that Jamie had a power outage.
Yeah.
Great. Yes, some little technical difficulties with an outage over in Portsmouth right now, but everything is good. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is going to be great. We're really looking forward to sharing a variety of things of what we did with the Newport Folk Festival and Granny Squibbs. So quickly, let me see. So we've got about 30 minutes and we're going to end with a Q&A. If you have any questions during our presentation, go ahead and chat on the group chat, and then Avi will take those, and then Kelley or myself, or we also have Billy Glassner, he can answer questions as well. So please hold your questions until the end. We're going to do a quick intro, although Avi did a great job in introducing us, so we might skip through that and get right into the growth strategy that we put together for Granny Squibbs, and then talk about the case study with the Newport Folk Festival, and then we'll end with a Q&A. And really the theme here is the experiential marketing, and it's a collaboration of two brands, and the two brands are Granny Squibbs and the Newport Folk Festival. So you may be wondering what Aperture is. Aperture is my consulting firm, which is a management consulting firm I started about 1.5 years ago. And Kelley will talk a little bit later as to why Granny Squibbs hired me. But I've got about 24 years of experience. Avi did a great job, so I'm not going to really touch on this much, but you can see my experience stretches all the way from Cliff Bar and Jamba Juice out in the Bay Area in San Francisco, and then most recently worked for Primama, which is a company that is based in Providence and started out of Brown University. I want to introduce Kelley and have Kelley talk a little bit about herself.
Hi, I'm Kelley. I'm one of the managing partners of the Granny Squibb Company. My partner, Nick Carr, and I are now in our 3rd year at Granny Squibbs. We started in 2018 when we tasted this incredible product that had survived 9 years with minimal to no marketing, which, as you know, doesn't happen in the beverage industry. It was just incredible. But we saw this opportunity to expand the brand. Just overnight, just us joining the team, we tripled the team. But Nick and I used our skills from our previous work for the first year to focus on brand awareness and community outreach. We were doing mostly small activations, demos, tastings, and then the brand started catching on, and we realized that we needed a strong, solid growth plan to develop that. So we hired Jamie, who's a growth management specialist and also an expert in the CPG field. And yeah, so I'll let Jamie talk about the plan that we developed and how we executed it.
Great, thanks, Kelley. So before we get into the growth strategy, just want to explain quickly. Most of you not. It's a local-based organic iced tea company that started about 10 years ago. And as Kelley mentioned, really there was an opportunity to put together a plan. The plan was done not just with myself, but with the whole team, and really an opportunity to lay the foundation for growing the business and taking the business to the next level. The plan that you're going to see and some of the growth strategies that we developed were really about year 1, but also we could apply some of those same strategies to year 2 and year 3, really about building that foundation to take Granny Squibbs to that next level. And so the plan included a variety of components of sales and marketing, team development, and it really was a key element in the recent growth at Granny Squibbs. So in terms of focusing on growth, first it was about developing and expanding the team. As Kelley mentioned, the team tripled in size, and that was key to support some of the growth that we were looking ahead to do and execute. Secondly, it was about winning at retail with a very strong focus on Rhode Island. So Granny Squibbs currently is available in other states, but in terms of this plan, it was really about just totally winning and owning the market in Rhode Island. Third is about utilizing on-premise, gaining new users by promoting product as an ingredient. And the team was really successful in finding creative ways to get in with hotels and bars throughout Rhode Island and not just taking this drink as something that people consume at home, but also using it in a way to provide it to bartenders and food and beverage operators as a great ingredient to mix with cocktails. Then, we're going to tie into the Newport Folk. It's about driving awareness. So we want to find a way to really drive awareness and really increase trial through aggressive local event marketing and sampling. And then it was about driving engagement and establishing a direct relationship with the consumer. Nothing better than a Newport Folk Festival to create that direct relationship and drive engagement in an in-person way. And then lastly, and you're going to see a little bit later, Kelley's going to touch on this, part of our growth was about developing a different way to package the product. So Granny Squibbs has always been in a glass bottle. And the company, based on its values and just being in Rhode Island, we did not want to touch plastic at all. We did not want to put it in a plastic container. So we looked at a way of finding an alternative vessel or packaging. And looking to do that, it was really important to come out with an alternative package to continue to drive more trial for the company. So within the plan, we just had really three key objectives. One was establish Granny Squibbs as the leading local beverage in the state of Rhode Island. In addition, we wanted to really double the growth in revenues. And then lastly, it was really about taking that company to the next level. And so, here we are in March, and I think Kelley and the team can say, we hit all these in year one, and we'll continue, or the team will continue to accelerate and grow revenues and take the company even further to the next level. Lastly, just to touch on marketing objectives, we could spend probably an hour and a half on the plan itself, but we're not here to do that. We want to focus on experiential marketing. But in terms of our marketing objectives, pretty simple here. As I mentioned, it's about driving brand awareness and trial. And one thing, just to take a pause for a second, the team had been doing a variety of events, doing quite a bit of social media. And so from a marketing standpoint, there definitely was a big focus around social media and a variety of smaller events, but we really wanted to ante up that brand awareness and find events that had thousands of people to really increase that trial and continue to work with key influencers, especially in the Rhode Island area. And we already mentioned this, but it's about driving engagement with the consumer. And those were three key objectives in terms of our marketing. So before we get into the actual event and what we did with our consumer activation, we've got a poll here that Avi is going to set up. And the question here is really, how long was the Granny Squibbs consumer activation with the Newport Folk Festival? And there are three answers. One is either A, 5 months, B, 1 month, or C, 3 days. So Avi's going to set this poll up, and everybody take a few minutes or a couple seconds and pick what you think. Go with your gut here.
And I see how many people are responding, so there's another 10 of you that need to respond.
Should I be responding? I know.
No, you're a co-host. You're not allowed to.
Don't fudge it.
I'm gonna do it. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll give it 5 more seconds. And we're done.
Great. So it looks like about majority of the people said between 1 month and 3 days, and a small percentage said 5 months. All right, so Avi, you want to, I think, stop sharing. Can everybody see that? Do I hit that?
I think, yeah, it should be gone. Is it gone?
Great. So it wasn't 3 days.
No.
It was not 1 month. It was 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, Newport Folk Festival was by far our biggest spend of the year and also our biggest presence at any one single event. So we treated this sponsorship as a 5-month activation, honestly, if not longer. And it was monumental to the growth of our business. It took months to plan, and we're still seeing the effects in both our sales, but also our reputation. The Festival Foundation is an incredible organization that gives back to their community, believes in environmental efforts and bringing people together in a safe setting. So partnering with their brand really made us look good, for lack of a better word. But no, it made us look great. We were really, really proud. And they also have an extremely loyal customer base that trusts them, and rightfully so. You know, when Newport Folk Festival gets behind you, you have an audience of, what, Billy, 60,000? And that's just incredible for us. But also, what was really special about this festival was that a portion of our proceeds is donated to Save the Bay, which helps protect Narragansett Bay, which is the very bay that surrounds Fort Adams. So it was just, these two brands aligning was just a slam dunk for us. But a couple more details about it. We're sold, so this presence at Fort Adams, we're sold in 12 different vendors who were scattered around the festival grounds. We also sold and sampled at our own activation. The vendors sold over 3,000 cans. We had what, Jamie, 1,500, I think, at our activation.
We sold out 1,500, right?
Yeah, then in addition, we had 3,000 cans distributed to artist trailers, hospitality tents, other VIP areas. I mean, it was huge for us. But it was also kind of risky and scary. I mean, keep in mind, we launched our cans at this festival. This was a new product. We didn't know how people were going to react. We also hadn't planned to make the cans as quickly as we did, which I'll get to later in the presentation. But our activation alone, the physical activation, took us 4 days to set up, not to mention months of prep work. But, you know, we had this incredible opportunity to present our iced tea to tens of thousands of people over the span of 3 days at an event 100 times the size of any event we had ever done in the past. So yeah, it was risky and scary, but we did it and we had a ton of fun. And then from a sales perspective, by enacting Jamie's plan, I think we nailed it. One of our main goals for the summer of 2019 was to grow our presence on Aquidneck Island, and we did that. We did that by like 2000 or something. 2000, crazy. But yeah, so I'll pass this back to Jamie, and you can talk about how we integrated local marketing with regional retailers.
Great, thanks, Kelley.
Mm-hmm.
So just to touch on here, everybody can see this slide. This is on the left, it's Clements Market. There's a picture of Ashmar. We wanted to just talk about here is that we had, you know, because this was a 5-month activation, you know, we started promoting and working on this partnership in April. And we did that, you know, we went all the way down to Narragansett. We went all over the state and told people, hey, Granny Squibb's is the official iced tea of the Newport Folk Festival. This was months before the event. So we got creative and we built displays like this one at Clements, and we put up table tents at hotels from, you know, the Marriott to Castle Hill, you know, a variety of places. You know, we put signs up, we built displays. And it was really about seeding the marketplace. And as Kelley said, you know, our number one priority was to really seed the marketplace of not just Aquidneck Island, but the state as a whole. So we utilized the Newport Folk logo, and we really prepped for months and months, letting people know. And from a trade marketing standpoint, it was really huge because it allowed the company to get into key retailers and strategic retailers that were businesses that maybe the gotten into before. So it really grew the sales to a whole nother level. And so these are just examples of some of the marketing we did. You know, this, just to give you an idea, this display at Clements, which is right near the meat section, it was only supposed to go up in July, I think. And it was up for 4 months, 3 or 4 months, because it totally worked. And, you know, product was selling off the shelf. So we were in 2 locations here. So it was great. You know, we had a 1-month deal, and they basically said, hey, we'll do it for 4 months. And we paid $0 for that. So building the right relationships with local retailers, you know, we didn't pay any money to put this up. They just embraced us as a local company, and they embraced the Newport Folk Festival.
It was also great seeing Jamie, just as he's putting our iced tea on the shelf, just taking selfies and sending them to us.
Manhandling that display.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. So Kelley, you want to talk a little bit?
Hold on. You froze for a second. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you, Kelley. I think he's just dealing with Portsmouth.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so, well, I think he was going to go into talking about how we set ourselves apart at the actual event itself, which was, so, you know, a lot of the vendors use tents or have table setups, which is really, really great, but we really wanted to set ourselves apart. So we decided to reach out to this company called FlexiTail. They're out of Boston. If anyone wants their information, please reach out to me. They make mobile retail units, and all of these retail units are beautifully designed. There's some that are shingled. There's some that are just like plain black. You can paint them whatever color you want. The insides are all white. They do custom shelving. They have air conditioning. They have Wi-Fi. You can set up a television in there. And the most amazing thing about them is that they're all solar powered, completely solar powered. So we didn't have to plug in at all at the Newport Folk Fest, which really, really was important to us. But so we used that, and then we also, we decided to set up a garden around our activation to make it look really welcoming and homey. We used, all of our plants had a specific purpose, whether it was, you know, they're from New England, or their colors matched our branding colors, or they provided a certain function. For instance, we had a couple hydrangea trees because, you know, there's a very nomadic nature of music festivals, which is what we love about them. But the days are hot and long, and we wanted a place for people to rest. So we put these trees there to provide shade for people, bring people into, like, towards our activation, so that we would have a chance to sit and serve them iced tea and talk to them. And we really appreciated that, that opportunity. So yeah, it was really, really fun to design, even though it took us 4 or 5 days to set up. It was great.
Kelley, can you see the next slide? Just want to check, make sure, is it working?
Is it the one of Mia and our?
It is, with the can. You can see that?
Yeah.
Great.
So as you can see in that slide, we have a couple of friends. So the back was a place that you could sit and just hang out, which was great. We had, you know, people serving tea in the bottom right. You can see, it's like me and Emma, I think, serving tea. People formed 2 lines, which was kind of fun. We had, you know, a captive audience for at least, you know, 10 seconds at a time. We had one of our friends, Mia, out there, you know, talking about the iced tea while people were walking by. Again, about the, you know, nomadic nature. We had people walking by our activation all day. So, and thank you, Billy, and the whole Newport Folk Fest team for giving us the location that you did. But so our branding was just up there as people walked from the main stage to the fort and back. It was pretty cool to see, I think.
So I'm going to touch a little bit about one of the ways that we got really creative. So as Kelley said, she did a great job explaining our actual activation, which was at this, you know, awesome trailer where we sold product and we also sampled product. But we also we didn't want to just be limited to that one area. So we worked out a deal with Billy and the team, and we became the official iced tea, or the official even beverage, of all the vendors. So there are about 12 different vendors throughout selling burritos, you know, a lot of local vendors that you've heard of, you know, Matunik and others. And so if people needed to get a drink, they could only buy Granny Squibb. So here's an example of one of the vendors here, and you can just see a cooler of Granny Squibbs. So everywhere that people went, it was just the number of impressions, hundreds and thousands of impressions of Granny Squibb. So you had families buying 4-packs. They would take them and go to the stage or walk around, and people had Granny Squibbs in the back of their pants to, you know, holding it up high, and it just was great. So we got creative, and gave the product to the vendors for them to sell. We actually sold out of one of the flavors, and then we directed everybody from our trailer back to the vendors, and it was great. You know, they sold a ton. It also created and opened up relationships with some places locally who had never even known about Granny Squibbs, and then they started to come to us and say, hey, we'd like to carry this in our restaurant. And these were all local small business restaurants throughout Rhode Island. And as Kelley said earlier, you know, we sold 3,000 cans through these vendors. Then we sold another 1,500 at our trailer. We also gave away, you know, 3,000 cans to the artists and the hospitality tents. So we literally seeded the whole area, you know, with Granny Squibbs. And we couldn't have done this if it was in a glass bottle. And so I'm going to kind of lead into the next topic that Kelley's going to talk about, which is, you know, what if we didn't have this alternative vessel? How would we have, you know, handled the Newport Folk Festival?
Yeah, so we had planned on introducing a new format for our tea and had talked about it even before Jamie joined the team. We obviously talked more serious about it once he came on, but that was kind of a looking ahead to the future plan. We saw that cans is a great opportunity to get into new markets like beaches and ferries that don't allow glass, but the festival certainly helped to expedite that plan. Actually, Billy, who's on this call, you probably don't remember this, but one of the last calls that you and I had before the contract was signed, we're literally sitting there, I have the contract in front of me, and by the way, this was like April, so we had 3 months till the actual event, or 4 months. And I'm sitting there, I'm on the phone, he's like, okay, I'm so excited to do this. I'm like, yeah, me too. And he's like, all right, Kelley, like, and of course, as you know, we don't allow glass at Port Adams. I'm like, totally knew that, of course, not a problem. Hang up, go to my team, and I'm like, y'all, we need to make cans yesterday, because not only is this the largest activation we'd ever done, but before we even gave them to people at the Folk Fest and sold them, we had to have them tested. We had to get them to our distributors. We had to get them into accounts so that they were ready to be purchased that day in accounts around Rhode Island. So it was just this crazy, wild experience with our team. We all got a lot closer, let me tell you. But yeah, so the Newport Folk Festival really pumped up that plan, which was great, and it was successful. And now it's, you know, very quickly turning into our best products, our best sellers.
And Kelley, great job. One thing to add before I turn it over to our special guest, you know, having the can, I mean, obviously the opportunity was debuting at the festival, but opening up new channels of distribution. So we got onto the Rhode Island ferries, we got into beaches, golf courses, all these places that the company would never have been able to get into because of glass. So this opportunity with Newport Folk just, you know, really blossomed in terms of sales opportunities and new channels of distribution, you know, for the company. So I am going to introduce, we have a surprise or special guest. His name is Billy Glassner. He's the sponsorship director for the Newport Festival Foundation, handles both the Jazz Festival and the Folk Festival. He's got a couple more years than me. He's got 25 plus years. I have 24. He's done a great job in a variety of companies, working very closely with merchandising and in the retail and the footwear. And he's just an expert in terms of ensuring brands that stand out. And so I'm going to introduce Billy and have him take it over and talk a little bit about the festival, how there was a perfect match between Granny Squibbs and Newport Folk, and just talk about, you know, how he looks for these emerging local brands. I hope that's valuable for others to hear. So Billy, go ahead and take it over here.
Nice. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, Billy.
Hey. So, am I coming through all right? Does that sound okay?
Sound good?
All right. Well, thanks, Jamie and Kelley. I really appreciate you guys having me here as a special guest. And you guys totally hustle. I mean, just looking back at those photos from last year, it's just unbelievable how much you guys got done in such a quick amount of time. And you were like ducks that were smooth as glass on the top of the pond, but I could tell just beneath the surface you guys were paddling hard. So one of the most fun activations I've ever had the chance to partner on. So thank you for that. And it's also makes me really nostalgic looking back at those photos and seeing all the people not practicing social distancing. So got a little nostalgic about that. But hope everybody is comfortable at home and healthy, and these are extraordinary times. So anyway, thanks for having me, guys. I'm going to take a second and just talk about the festival and give you some background for those who are not aware. The Newport Folk Festival and the Newport Jazz Festival. The Jazz Festival was founded by George Wein back in 1954, and the Folk Festival was 5 years later in 1959. They're some of the oldest festivals in existence, and they take place over 2 consecutive weekends. The Folk Festival is always the last weekend in July, and the Jazz Festival is the first weekend in August. And there are about 10,000 people per day for 3 days, so about 30,000 people over the course of the festival for each of them. And so it's a long and storied history. And about 10 years ago, we became a nonprofit, a 501c3, and we formed the Newport Festivals Foundation. And the goal of the foundation is to expand the impact of the festivals through supporting music education programs year-round across the entire country. Because ultimately we believe everybody deserves access to music education, regardless of socioeconomic status. As well, this week, just on Monday, we launched the Musicians Relief Fund, which is providing grant money to musicians who have been impacted by the coronavirus and had tours canceled and shows canceled. So we're really trying to reach out to that greater community that we have. And I mean, community is kind of all what we're about. And our fans place a lot of trust in us, and we are a vehicle for discovery for first and foremost artists, but also we've learned over the years that our audience turns to us to discover new brands. And so one of the things that we try to do when we're partnering with brands as partners of the festival and sponsors is we want to offer up to our fans brands that that share our philosophy, that we believe they're going to really enjoy. We love to support local Rhode Island startup brands. That's really, really important to us because it's important to our fans, and everything we do sort of trickles back from the fan experience. And so we don't, by design, we don't have a lot of sponsors and a lot of partners, a lot of brands on site, because the last thing we want to do is interrupt the experience for our fans. We really want them we want the brands that we have on site to enhance the experience and not interrupt it. So we don't overbrand. We don't want it to be, logo soup. And so we're very selective with the brands that we partner with. Granny Squibb was an absolute slam dunk, home run, no brainer, local Rhode Island entrepreneurial brand, committed to using sustainable ingredients and organic, really community minded, and just great people. So it was just an absolutely no brainer. And we couldn't be more excited about the partnership, and the feedback that we've gotten from our fans has been overwhelmingly positive. That so many people discovered the brand there, and that just gives us, it makes us feel really, really good that we're doing the right thing. So I think that's about what I wanted to talk about. Is there anything else that I should touch on, guys?
No, thank you so much. Those very kind words. We feel the same.
Yeah.
Everybody can hear me. So we're just going to close here and really wanted to talk about this opportunity. We're very specific here with this case study or this event that happened last year, but I want people to understand that when it comes to experiential marketing, It doesn't have to be a huge event like a Newport Folk Festival. It could be finding ways to be creative and aligning at events. It could be farmers markets. It could be small events, big events. And so, you know, what we did here was definitely at a much higher and larger scale. But it's really about finding an event that aligns with the values of your company and your brand, and making sure it aligns with the event that you're doing. Don't just do an event to do an event. Do one that means something together. And as Billy said, he said it well, it was really about enhancing the experience at the Newport Folk Festival. And so if you ever been to the festival, the brands that are there enhance the experience. And I think Kelley and her team just did a fantastic job executing and making the experience better for the festival goers. And, you know, thanks to that, they'll be coming back and doing it again, all crossing our fingers that it will continue. You know, we hope this social distancing will end, but, you know, this was not a one and done for the team. And it wasn't, going into it, it wasn't about doing it one time. It was about having a long-term relationship with the Newport Folk Festival. So real quick, just to end, you know, just want to touch on some of the results that we uncovered and we succeeded on in terms of, you know, this event. But the company revenues grew 2x over this 5-month activation, which was just awesome. And a lot of it had to do with the selling into new retailers and, you know, all the hotels and the new grocery stores that we got into, and the increase in sales at Dave's Market. You know, it really was a collective effort with everybody, including the support behind the Newport Folk Festival team. So we expanded the Aquidneck Island distribution by over 2,000%. I think when we started, we were in, you know, maybe Anthony's Seafood, literally like one place, maybe two. And the amount of accounts that the team opened during that period, pre-festival and even post, was just phenomenal. So grew distribution by over 2,000%. Launched 2 whole new distributors, and they were liquor distributors of finding ways to get in and partner with people like Castle Hill, and all different other hotels and restaurants throughout the area.
Sorry, it's my dog.
It's all right. You know, we developed that new format that opened new doors of distribution, which was huge for future growth with the company. We had 11 strategic media placements. This was local, not national. So 11 is actually quite a bit. We got some really great unpaid, you know, press through our involvement throughout this time. Social media, we did a variety of entries with giving tickets away, and, you know, really partnered with local companies and influencers to promote our partnership with the Newport Folk Festival. So really great exposure through social media. And lastly, the important thing is that this event greatly impacted 4 of the strategic growth drivers for the company within the plan. So it all tied itself together, and it just was really great. So, you know, as Billy said before, I think the team really knocked it out, and this was a big spend for the marketing, but it was something that really transformed the company in a variety of ways. There were many other things that happened throughout the year that transformed the company, but this was sort of at the epicenter, kind of at the nucleus of how the company kind of took the next leap.
Yeah, I want to say real quick that our brand as a whole is utilizing experiential marketing is our whole thing. That's what we do. We like to be a part of things. We like to show up. We like to meet people. We like to organize. We like to be a part of our community. I mean, last year alone, we did over 100 events. The Folk Festival weekend, we had 2 other events as well going on, a Save the Bay and it was Rhode Island Monthly. But I mean, Newport Folk Fest was by far times 100 the biggest. But I think it's really important to be at every level, especially when you're a startup brand like ours.
I'll let people just read this, and then we'll go into the Q&A.
Oh, do you want to finish up, Jamie? We have like 7 minutes left. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll end to this. So there's a guy named Darren Fredit. He's out of Marion. He came to the festival. He was really impressed with the activation at FlexiTail, and since then he has put this together, speaking to his heart. And really the net of this is that years ago he was introduced to Spindrift, which many people know, and Late July Snacks, you know, at Newport Folk Festival. And so really this testimony, as you read this and look at it, it's just a true testament of what happens when a brand like a Granny Squibbs or a Spindrift get together with the Newport Folk Festival. And, you know, really it's about, it ties in with the fact Newport Folk Festival, you know, sells out their tickets before people even know who's playing. So it's not just the artists, but it's the vendors and the brands that are represented there. And it's just a great testimonial of what this person thought of the Granny Squibbs activation and how he related it to past experience. You know, today he's got cases of Spindrift and Late July in his home, and, you know, he was sold on Granny Squibbs, and now that Granny Squibbs is available in Massachusetts, he'll be hopefully able to purchase it up there. So just to end here, you know, we all three of us thank you for listening, and we'll go into questions. If anybody does need to reach out or contact us, this is a list of emails or websites, ways that you can reach us.
I had a question. Is your bottling process hot bottled or cold bottled?
Yes, we hot fill our bottles, and then the cans go through a pasteurization process.
And you have a bottling house that does it for you?
We have a co-packer, yep.
And you use a liquor distributor for your distribution?
Yeah, well, we use several distributors, two of which are liquor distributors. We have one in Rhode Island and then one in Massachusetts.
There's a question from Victoria Drew. She was asking, were you able to activate the attendees to produce user-generated content on social media at the festival? Like, did you have a social media plan there as well?
We did. We had actually an extensive social media plan put in place by our Director of Digital Marketing, Emma Haskell, who's absolutely wonderful. But a big problem with the festival grounds when you have that many people is the internet goes down. So reposting in real time and hashtagging and all that was very complicated. But I think that the most, as far as digital marketing goes, the best was being able to promote it beforehand. That's by far when we got our most likes, when we were giving away tickets, we got our most engagement from consumers, which was really, really cool to see. But yeah, I mean, it's very tough to keep social media going when you're on grounds at Fort Adams.
Thank you. Thank you all for showing up.
Thanks, everybody.
Stay positive.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you all next week.